Ladies and gentlemen, all rise. Court is back in session. Welcome to another exciting episode of The Devil's Due. I am your host, Carl Duty. With me is a man who's so metal, even Thanos couldn't snap him away. Mr. Drew Celestino.
I went to the website. I was spared.
I was spared as well.
All right.
Woohoo!
We're safe. If we had to separate because of Thanos, that would just be terrible.
I mean, if the population was halved, and it's a good assumption that a lot of podcasters would go with it, it's a good chance
that's
our
some
show
market share.
might pick up a little bit of...
Well, half the listenership is also gone, too.
Yeah.
There really are no winners in this scenario.
Yeah.
Real estate, you could become a real estate baron. A lot more real estate out there.
Yeah.
Less people that want it, though.
As Lex Luthor always said, land.
Yeah. It's good to have land.
Land's the one thing they're not making any more of.
Yeah.
Well, currently in Hawaii, they're making more land.
The sea is reclaiming everything, Carl, over time.
Not so much in Hawaii.
Well,
they're making more land there.
For now.
Yeah.
Don't worry. They'll be reclaimed, too, someday.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody's okay in Hawaii. Thank you again for joining us, folks. We are here and on to our opening statements. Drew, sir, how was your week?
Well, as it were, I am in the process of getting a lot of things done before I can no longer get things done. So that includes some traveling. So I went to Washington, D.C. for the first intentional time over the weekend. So a 3-day weekend.
Intentional time?
So I've only been there one other time, and that was for a layover. But here's the funny story. So, well, not so much funny as it is depressing and sad, but we had a layover in D.C. at Reagan and the airport.
Yep.
And, no, correction. Let me walk this back. Layover at Dulles, which is just outside of Washington. And, that flight got canceled. And we were pretty upset about it because we flew a red-eye from California to Washington, and all we wanted to do was go home. They're like, yeah, your flight's canceled. We might be able to get you on one tomorrow. I'm like, no. Today, now.
Yes.
Please. So they ended up finding us a flight at Reagan. I think that's how it worked. Or there was a chance we could get on one at Reagan, and they would shuttle us over there. So they got us on a shuttle, little van or whatever. And the driver was nice enough. He's like, we told him the story. Like, yeah, our flight was canceled, and we're going to this other airport, and we're very upset. We've been up on the red-eye flight, and we didn't sleep that well, yada, yada. He's like, well, I'll tell you what. I'll take the scenic route to Reagan. Oh, okay, cool. So I got to drive through Washington once.
Okay.
So this was the first time I actually went there intentionally with,
Gotcha.
plans and stuff. So we went with my best friend and his wife. We shared an Airbnb, and it was a fun 3 days, actually.
How was the Airbnb experience?
Just fine. Room is nice. If I'm going to knock anything on the Airbnb, it's that the guy didn't really provide a lot of amenities in the fridge, coffee maker. It's not a lot to ask, but it goes a long way.
Coffee?
I mean, it's fully furnished. There's cups and there's dishes and there's plates, but it's but nothing in the fridge and no coffee. Thanks, I guess.
Well, I mean, fully furnished doesn't mean food. It just means
I'm not asking for a meal. I'm just throw
me some ground.
Throw me something, man. Other than that, it was really nice.
Cup, just pour it in my hand.
Yeah. No, it was nice. Nice room. 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms. So we got to expedite our shower train in the morning. Got us rolling pretty good. Did lots of cool stuff. Did some record store splurging. Found some neat gems. Ate a lot of good food. Great Indian place. A great pizza place. And a great breakfast burrito place, and just it was good. Smithsonian, very cool. I would go back just to go to the museums again because I did not even get to see a tenth of what they have to offer in these museums.
Yeah, the museums there are insane.
Yeah, the Air and Space was my favorite. very very awesome, especially the space portion. I got to see like astronaut stuff, actual suits that were worn on the moon and things like that. And like the lunar lander is actually one of them that didn't make it up there, but they used on Earth to do stuff and tests was there. And it's like, wow, this punk of junk made it to the moon. It's incredible.
Nice.
And then there's this big portion where you look up and they're just these big rockets and you're like, wow, big rockets, cool. And then you go down to like not quite the base of them, but like the first floor where because these things go like 3-4 stories up. You go down, you read like the informational placard by the rockets, and it's like, oh, these are ICBMs, Carl. These are intercontinental ballistic missiles used to deliver nuclear warheads.
Oh.
Yeah, that wasn't disconcerting at all.
Well, if you follow current news, we might need those.
Yeah, let's hope not. I'd prefer not to think about that. So that was kind of unnerving, but still pretty sweet. But yeah, the space portion was very, very cool. I did not make it out to the airfield / hangar, though, which is not in the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum proper, but it's a little bit away, where they have an actual SR-71 Blackbird and a space shuttle that you can check out.
Yep.
Next time, I would definitely like this to see that, and I could figure out, okay, so this is the plane that Cobra modified, and they put a drone on top of it.
Yep.
They made the Night Raven the coolest looking plane in the Joeverse. Looking plane, maybe not the most functional, maybe not the most combat ready, but certainly the coolest looking plane. What's better?
As far as just for sheer appearance,
sheer aesthetics, sheer intimidation and aesthetics.
I know you're not a fan of it, but the Joe plane that came after the Sky Striker, the one with the wings going forward,
garbage. Nope,
looks better.
No, not even close.
Cool.
Not even close.
According to the cartoon, the wings could saw trees in half.
Yeah, I don't care. It wasn't black. It didn't have a drone. It did not look as cool as the Night Raven. Anyway, I got to see the actual Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Penmanship was very good back in the day.
Well, you didn't have much to do back then, so you just kind of read and practiced your penmanship.
For handwritten documents, it was the letters are all very uniform. Spacing is perfect. Very straight lines. No one meandered off the page at any point. Very impressive back in the day. The National Archives are pretty cool. They definitely keep those documents in a very elaborate chamber.
Yeah.
It was neat. I will say this though. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it because it drove me nuts when I was there. Oh, Carl, going to Washington D.C. is you get a real peek in the window. You get a little slice of Middle America.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tourists?
Tourists. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So when you see a group of junior high / high school kids running around, and there's a lot of tour groups, obviously, but I saw many of them.
Cousin Eddie's?
In their red MAGA hats. And I got real sad real quick. And then sometimes I saw their parents, and they're just, sorry, big, fat slob Americans with no regard for personal space, boundaries, or anything. Manners? No. Self-awareness? No. Don't be silly. And I got a little sad. So, yeah. Anyway, that was the unfortunate portion of the trip. But other than that, it was excellent. I did enjoy the museums a lot. I went to the zoo. Awesome experience at the zoo. They have a thing called the O-Line, where they have an orangutan enclosure. And then they have another orangutan enclosure, probably a good 100 yards, 200 yards away, maybe more.
Okay.
Well, they have a giant tower in each of them, and then there's towers in between, and there's just ropes connecting them. Open air. And the orangutans can freely just go between these two pens, and you can just walk underneath them and watch them go.
Nice.
So I got to see a mama orangutan and her probably 8-week-old or less baby orangutan, which was adorable. And Mama took the little guy, and she climbed up this tower and like made way to the other enclosure. It was pretty wild.
Did you get any poop thrown at you?
No poop thrown, thank God.
Okay.
Got to see a big daddy orangutan too.
Yeah.
You see the new Planet of the Apes movies, right?
I haven't seen the most recent one yet.
But you have seen like the second one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know Maurice, the big orangutan with the big round cheeky
Jowls
face
and whatnot.
That's what they look like.
Yeah,
for real. And they have
shocking. They modeled the apes in the movie after real life.
They
apes.
did. It's amazing. And they have long. He looked like Chewbacca. Long dreadlocked hair all over him. It was incredible. Like
nice.
He raises his arm up, and he's got 3 feet of dreadlocks hanging off of his arm.
Did you go up to one of the zoo workers and just be like, can you just kind of put this tool belt over his shoulder a little bit?
Here, I have a bandolier. Can you just let him hold it for a minute? Here's a crossbow. No, did not, unfortunately. But the zoo was cool, and we took a night bike tour of basically all of the major monuments, which was really awesome. So I got to see the Jefferson Memorial, the FDR Memorial, which is like 4 big rooms, like outdoor, but they called them rooms, one for each of his terms. Very interesting, very abstract but impactful, which is pretty cool. The Korean War Memorial, which was pretty intense. The Vietnam Memorial was very intense. Lincoln Memorial, obviously majestic, very impressive, I have to say. The MLK Memorial was excellent. Like that statue
brand new.
It's beautiful. Like it is very impressive. So big ups on that. And then Lincoln, the World War II Memorial, which was really huge, very cool. And Washington Monument, unfortunately, was closed. It will be closed until like next fall, like 2019. So we didn't get to go up.
They're doing some restoration and whatnot?
Yeah, Spider-Man kind of screwed it up. So
understandable. Did you see
then I saw the White House. I may or may not have made obscene gestures toward it, but I can neither confirm nor deny that information.
See the Vietnam Memorial?
Yeah.
Right.
I said that.
Cool. No, you said the World War II Memorial.
And Vietnam. So yeah, that was all pretty sweet. What's really weird about the Jefferson and Lincoln memorials, so they're both 19 feet tall, right?
Okay.
Now Jefferson is outside. Well, he's in a pavilion, but it's like open air outdoors. I mean, so is Lincoln, but it's different. It's like a dome, and it's kind of, I don't want to say it's small, but it's smaller than Lincoln. And the statue is 19 feet tall. He's standing up, and he's 19 feet tall. It's like, wow, right? Lincoln, also 19 feet tall, but for some reason, Lincoln is like way more imposing and intimidating.
Well, it's because he's sitting on a chair.
I think it's because he's sitting down. So, like, if he were to stand, he would be taller. So, yeah, Lincoln's a big guy. Pretty cool. Very, very cool. Had a good time. I'd go back. I'm not in a rush to go back, but I would go back, especially to check out some more museums. More art. I want to see, like, I would have liked to have seen art and things like that. Unfortunate story. The one museum, the Smithsonian, and I forget what it's called, but the one that has like Darth Vader's costume in it and the ruby slippers from Wizard of Oz, like all the Americana kind of stuff. Unfortunately, that wing was closed until the fall. So no, wait, yeah, fall. Sorry, closed till fall. So I got to see pictures of the Darth Vader costume, and I got to see a picture of like one of the cowls from one of the Batman movies. I think it was a Keaton one. I got to see a picture of, Muhammad Ali's robe from one of his fights.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to actually see these things.
The original Pong machine is in there as well.
Somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah. I believe you can still play it too.
Well, I'm sure it's riveting. Anyway, got back in time to watch one of the all-time worst WWE pay-per-views I've ever seen in Backlash. Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Alan sent us a GIF.
Don't ask questions. It was just terrible. Put it this way. It was so bad this is just from metrics standpoint. Here's
Yeah.
how bad it was. It was so bad that Brian Alvarez, who co-hosts Wrestling Observer Radio on for the Wrestling Observer, which is Dave Meltzer's 30-plus year newsletter that he's written for all that time. He's like the leading journalist in the industry. Yeah. Brian Alvarez, his co-host, was live tweeting it, and he was calling it as he saw it as he was live tweeting it for the entire duration. In that duration, he got 900 new followers.
Wow.
Then they do an immediate show to recap it. So he had a show with he does two shows. One is called Brian and Vinny with his other guy Vinny, and then he'll do a show with Dave Meltzer after that.
Yeah.
The demand, I'm not even kidding, because I'm paying subscribers, so this happened to me. The demand for the Brian and Vinny show immediately following the show was so great. People wanted to hear it so badly that it brought down the site for like a day. I couldn't access any of the archives or any of the radio shows the next day that I actually wanted to listen to. So, the show was so bad that people wanted to hear more about how bad it was. Because it was bad. Dang. It was pretty bad. The faith in the company is pretty bad right now. Chris Jericho's back in NJPW, though.
Alrighty.
Yeah, he wrecked Naito badly. He bloodied him up fiercely. And, our boy Kenny.
Yeah?
He's getting one more shot at Okada.
Ooh.
So for those keeping score, like me, Okada has a victory over Kenny Omega. Kenny has a non-title victory over Okada. And they have 1 60-minute draw.
So it was the rubber match.
This is the definition of rubber match here. And it's going to be a best 2 out of 3 falls. No time limit match. June 9th. Let's go.
Die.
Now, I want to believe that this is going to be Kenny's time, but I thought that every time they faced each other, so I'm not going to get my hopes up. But maybe. So that's kind of what's going on in my sphere right now. What's up over here? What's been happening back in Buffalo as I was trying to seize power in DC?
Not a ton. Earlier in the week, I started watching the Netflix series Lost in Space.
Hey, so did I. I'm 3 episodes in.
Oh, I am like 6 episodes in.
Okay. What do you think?
It's really good.
Okay.
I enjoy it a lot. I never really watched the original series. There was like 50, 60 sci-fi. There was kind of like a line.
Yeah.
And right above that line was Star Trek. I mean, you could kind of see the wires on Star Trek, but you didn't mind so much because the storytelling was really good and whatnot.
I saw the actual Enterprise model from the original series.
Nice.
Too. Yeah, it was really cool.
Right below that line was Lost in Space. You could see the wires, and it just didn't like...
Yeah. Well, it was a campy...
Yeah.
It wasn't trying to be a serious,
this is
thought-provoking sci-fi.
This is not that at all.
No, not that I can see.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm enjoying it. Let's see. Friday was hanging out with family and just chilling with them and whatnot. Saturday was kind of a double header day. We had free comic book day.
Ah, yes.
Which might be my favorite like pop culture event of the year.
Okay.
Cons are great and all, but there's nothing quite like the joy of free comic book day.
Well, free is makes it palatable for sure. Cons are like open up that wallet.
Yeah, but with the free comic book day, it's cool just see like the kids walking around and like they're all excited and there's people there in costume and it's a good time with Dave and Adams. So I didn't get to linger much in free comic book day because at the same day there was an X-Wing tournament.
Okay.
Because we had what is like really one of the best weekends of the year when you get, I mean, now just the way the calendar's working, it falls on a weekend. When you get, May the 4th, which is National Star Wars Day. I know you're not a big fan of it.
Whatever, it's fun. It's fun. Every day.
And then the next day we have Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, so it's not Revenge of the 5th.
Well, the tournament was called the Revenge of the 5th.
Uh-huh. See, I see what they did there.
Yeah, I mean, it's Star Wars games. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
So how did Cinco de Mayo go?
Cinco de Mayo went great. I took 4th place
Okay.
out of a 14-person tournament.
You are upper tier.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I went 3-1,
That's good.
and the only loss I had was to the eventual tournament winner. So
That's very good.
I don't feel bad about that at all. I finished, as the poker parlances, I finished in the money.
Are you satisfied with your build and your loadout and whatnot?
Yeah, it was really fun. I took kind of two higher tier ships and one kind of mid tier ship, and just made a fun build around it, and it just went really well. I just flew really well, and things worked out, and the dice went my way more than they didn't, and so yeah, it was a good time. I felt really good about that going out of it. A lot of good positive vibes about the upcoming X-Wing 2.0. So people are excited about it. I mean, cautiously excited. Obviously, there's a bit of buy-in, as with any kind of upgrade like this in a game. But yeah, the community is healthy and vibrant and fun.
Is the community's significant others vibrant and fun about the upcoming 2.0?
Well, 2 participant tournaments are actually a married couple, so they're both clearly excited.
Yeah.
The others we don't talk about.
That's kind of what I figured. Okay.
What the wives and the husbands
Mm-hmm.
have to say.
We're not going to name names.
No.
Just in general.
No. But folks, if you walk outside right now, and if it's really quiet out, and you kind of cast your ear skyward, you can maybe still hear the string of profanities Julie uttered in the car when I told her about it. Might be floating around like the Syracuse area by now. Sound travels.
Yeah.
So I think that was pretty much it.
All right.
Yeah, it was a fairly mundane week, which is fine. Okay with that. Dear listeners, if you'd like to send us any questions, tell us about your weeks, send us any comments to be read on the show, you can do so with the following locations. You can go to Twitter and find us at Devils Do Pod. You can go to Facebook and go to facebook.com/DevilsDoPod. You can email us at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdopodcast.com. Drew, that being said, we do have a question from Mr. Brendan Budnick.
All right.
Brendan was one of our younger listeners who sent us in a question. I think it might have been last year sometime. And he writes us again. Hey, Carl and Drew, still love your show and love listening, not watching to your show. Yeah, because he said he was watching the show last time. Anyway, about a year ago, I asked what superhero team, just as a reminder, Drew, you named your team the Champions of Drew and had Wolverine, Daredevil, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist.
Okay.
Carl, your team's name was Destruction Inc. You had Hulk, Groot, Thing, and Juggernaut. I remember I went with the Subtlety team. My question is, what team would you have these teams fight? These villains have to be Marvel, and you must cast these characters as well. Who would you have your team fight?
Well, I feel like my team, just based on my... Thanks for refreshing me on that, actually. My team was clearly made to fight the Hand.
Yeah, it's...
We got a lot of ninja martial arts ties. Daredevil, Wolverine, Iron Fist, and that's their lot in life. They have to destroy the Hand.
Yeah. Geez, I don't know who my team could really go against. Like, my first thought was the Wrecking Crew, but they're still overpowered.
Are they?
My team is overpowered.
Oh,
for
yes,
the Wrecking
yes.
Crew.
You need
I've got
a
Hulk and Juggernaut on my team.
Yeah, I feel like you need to go up against like some kind of.
Give me a whole bunch of Sentinels, like the really big ones. Give us just a good smash fest.
Some cosmic villains, someone really powerful and threatening.
Give us a couple Galactus Heralds,
something like that. That
Terax,
that
or
tier.
Firelord.
Sure,
yeah,
something they can really wreck and lay into without fear of outright turning him into mush.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
That's all we got for questions.
Man, got some slackers out there.
I mean, I'm not saying Alan and Jay are slacking, but
Well, I think you ran Jay off, so, there is that.
I did not. I gave him a stern warning. I was firm but fair.
All right.
All right. Brendan, thank you very much for your questions. We appreciate it. Now, on to, since we're done with the cross-examination, let's get on to the case files. We do have some interesting tidbits in the news. Let's start most show relevant. Drew, we got a Luke Cage Season 2 trailer yesterday.
We did.
It looks good.
It does look good.
I'm excited.
It looks great. I mean, it's like...
It's like
How do
the
I explain
second
it?
movie after you get past the origin story.
Yeah, it's a familiar faces that you're happy to see back, and it's new stuff. And
Character's fleshed out. We know who he is. We've
Yeah.
gotten to know him over 3 different shows,
Yeah.
Jessica Jones, His Own, and Defenders. And so now we can kind of really hit the ground running and go someplace.
Yeah, interesting approach from what I can tell. So Luke is clearly somewhat famous.
Yeah.
And kind of relishing in the spotlight that he's getting for being the bulletproof hero of Harlem.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see, I mean, obviously they're not going to spoil it, but you can see a flavoring of Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, a little bit.
In it. So yeah, we get very brief shots of Misty with the arm.
I saw some schematics.
Looks great.
Yeah. Not made by Stark this time, though.
No. Well, the schematic shot was very brief.
It's got a Rand logo on it.
Oh, well, makes sense.
Makes sense, sure.
Yeah, works. The villain.
Yes.
What do you think?
I mean, you got to have somebody that can go toe-to-toe, I guess, with Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Although, as I say that, when did the show become not as good in season 1? Well, when they took away the villain that wasn't up to snuff but was way more compelling. So once we had the villain in the suit, things kind of went off the rails. So I don't know if we need the physically imposing villain, but we have one. Interesting choice, I guess. I'm not super familiar with Bushmaster, to be honest with you.
Either.
All I really know about Bushmaster is that it's also a firearm. So
yeah, it
doesn't exactly strike up.
I saw a
warm and
picture
fuzzies.
of him from the comics. I was like, okay, good thing they didn't go with the comic look.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'm getting Bushmaster, I think, mixed up with another character, and now I'm not going to be able to find it because, unfortunately, my internet in your basement here is not too cool.
Let's hold the phone up to the window.
Yeah, right. So I have it mixed up with someone else, so I'm not gonna get too bogged down in it. But there was a villain, and I think he was in one of the Punisher games, and I think he's obviously in some of the comics. A guy who can make guns out of his arms. Does this character ring a bell to you? For some reason, I thought he was Bushmaster, but it's not.
I'm seeing a Marvel card, but it was a dude on one of the X teams, one of the late 90s. He's really holding the phone up to the window.
It kind of helped. It's
a dude on one of the late 90s X teams, so I don't think it's the same guy.
Okay, well, I don't know who I'm talking about then, but anyway, clearly this is not him. So it seems to me that Luke has a certain thing with snake-themed villains.
Yeah.
Cottonmouth.
Yeah.
Diamondback. Bushmaster. And they all sort of have a snake motif in the comics anyway.
For season 3, they'll just go all in and Luke Cage versus Cobra.
Sure, why not? Or against the whatever they were
Society.
Who were Bill's assassins called? The Assassination Squad. Kill Bill. Remember?
Oh yeah,
Black Mamba and
yeah, I remember the characters.
You know all that.
The group name.
I forgot to.
Cottonmouth and
yeah.
So yeah.
Luke Cage versus Daryl Hannah. Go.
Go.
Why not?
All right, so that is coming out mid-June, and we will still be in the midst of Jessica Jones season 2 when that comes out. But it will be.
I have a sad now, but we'll get there, I guess.
What do you have sad for?
Cause I'll be really honest with you. I'm more excited for Luke Cage than I am for Jessica Jones. So
Jessica Jones is good.
I haven't watched season 2 yet, so I couldn't tell you.
I know. So I'm just letting you know it's good.
Okay.
So yeah. So that was that. Next up, Drew, the Nintendo Switch, with which you and I both own, is a year and 2 months old.
It is.
And we are finally getting an online service.
Yes.
Now, I say finally, and that may sound a little snarky. It's not intended to be, because, once again, we've had this conversation in the past. When you buy a Nintendo system, you don't buy it for online games. So it can kind of afford to go as long as it has without a premier, air finger quotes, online service.
And they've been kind enough to allow you to play certain games online for free up to this point. Splatoon, Mario Kart 8, amongst others.
Yeah. But it was announced yesterday or Monday?
Yesterday. Last night, actually.
Today's Tuesday. Derp. So it was announced yesterday, the Nintendo Online Service.
Yep.
And everything that will entail, and also pricing for the service.
Yeah.
The pricing for the service is very good. Even if you have multiple accounts on your Switch, you have to pay a little more to get the online service for all the accounts. But even that is only a little over half of what you have to pay for a year of PS4 or Xbox One online service.
Correct.
I believe the family package is $35 for an entire year. And I believe the just single account 1 year package is $20.
That is correct.
And that is right where I kind of wanted them to be at.
That's where they said they were going to be there last year, and they are true to their word. Yeah, cool. Online play well, here's where like the Nintendo giveth, Nintendo taketh away kind of thing goes. So like, if you've been enjoying Splatoon 2 and Mario Kart 8 online, you could continue to enjoy them for a nominal fee from here on out. Which, whatever, I'm getting it anyway, and I would assume most people would probably anyway.
Yep.
I'm fine with that. They also include cloud saving, which I know everyone's been crying about for well over a year now since the Switch. What do you mean I can't save my games in the cloud? Well, you can't.
Who cares?
Apparently, a loud contingent of gamers care. Carl, there are dozens of them. Dozens. So you can do that now. So you can stop crying about it, and we'll all be grateful.
Buy a flashcard.
That's not. No, you can't. That's not quite how it works, Carl. Unfortunately.
No, I'm not saying the cloud server, but if you need additional storage,
it's not about storage. It's about saved games, as in your save files. That's what people are concerned about. Their save files were only stored to the system data and nothing else. So now now you can back it up to the cloud. So you don't have to worry about your Switch, poo-pooing and losing your Zelda save file. Which, by the way, would be traumatic. I understand, but it's fine. It's just fine. Now you can save it to the cloud. And apparently some kind of, this is where things get a little murky. And not murky, but like,
they haven't flushed out the details yet.
Well, yes, they have. So here's what's not coming with the Nintendo Online service. What is not coming with the Nintendo Online service is any sort of virtual console proper at all. Now, you are getting 20 NES games that will rotate in some capacity.
Yeah.
And they have some kind of online functionality baked into them now where you can play against other people, which, fine. I don't care if I play Balloon Fight against someone else. But you might.
Do you care if you even play Balloon Fight?
No, actually. Thanks for asking. So, to me, this is kind of a whatever move. The Virtual Console, though, this is a bit of a big deal to a lot of people. And I feel like people were getting their hopes up for nothing. They've been waiting for some kind of formal announcement. I think the fact that it launched without one should have been your indicator that you probably weren't ever going to get one.
I mean, it's not to say that they're not going to release old system games in the eShop at some point. Further down the road. It just won't be labeled Virtual Console.
Sort of. Their language has been very odd on this, but they have clarified that Virtual Console, as it was before, will not be on the Switch.
Okay,
so
it's very possible we could just get it in a different form.
In some capacity, but I don't know what, because it's not like they're out there selling those games for the Switch now. Like, you can't go and get Super Mario Brothers 3 or whatever on the Switch. They have commented, they responded to this announcement by saying, basically, these games are available in other formats, and you can get them there. So you want to
go by the classic NES and the classic
kind
Super
of
NES.
like that. And they also said, like, third parties are doing their own collections now. Capcom has the Mega Man collections coming over. There's a couple Sega collections out there now you can get for the Switch. They're kind of washing their hands as the virtual console gatekeeper. If third parties want to put stuff out that's old, they can do it themselves. Nintendo's not going to impose that $9 price point or whatever it was for those old games. They're kind of just letting it go. This is good and bad. Like, you know, I understand. I'm sure Nintendo heard complaints every week about what games were not on the virtual console.
Yeah.
Like, where's, you know, how come I can't get Chrono Trigger? I'm sure actually, I'm willing to bet that's 90% of the emails I got. Where's Chrono Trigger? But at the same time, you know, now they don't have to answer to that. They can say, hey, yell at Square, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But where it does get a little crappy, I think, and this is where people might be upset, and I understand, it kind of bugs me too, but I see Nintendo's kind of side of it as well, as diplomatically as I can be here. I've already bought some of these games like 3 times. Like, I bought them on the Wii Virtual Console. I paid $1 upgrade fee to get them in HD on the Wii U. Now you're telling me that I can't even buy them again to get them on the Switch. Like that, those games are still tied to the hardware on which I purchased them, and they're not really tied to me, the account holder now, on this online service. And it makes sense from a businessy point of view.
Buy it again.
They want you to buy it again. I get that. It makes sense also that, like, hey, you know, that's all great, but you didn't buy that when our online service launched. It was before that. It's all new now. Oh, okay, but you know who I am. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've had a Nintendo Network ID for like a decade. You know these transactions. You can trace these things. And the fact that they're not going to like pay those forward is a little disappointing, but I don't know. What are you going to do? That seems to be everyone's point of contention right now is the Virtual Console not being included.
You seem to be much more underwhelmed about this announcement that I had anticipated.
There's just not a lot there yet for me. Like,
okay. They announced some of the titles that will be available on their, for lack of a better term, streaming service.
Sure.
Some of these are AAA titles, and some of these are okay.
Not.
We're going back to the original NES launch window for some of these titles, but here's what was announced. Soccer, tennis, Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, no Super, just OG Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, the aforementioned Balloon Fight, Ice Climber, Dr. Mario, Legend of Zelda, and Super Mario Brothers 3. So,
yay.
You got a mix of tried and true classics and some, you know, interesting stuff that probably hasn't seen the light of day for some time.
I mean, I don't know. It's a very Nintendo of Japan looking lineup, if you ask me.
Yeah.
The Famicom in Japan was a ubiquitous juggernaut. And like, we think the NES was a juggernaut, and it was.
Yeah.
The Famicom in Japan, like, you know, to quote Wayne Campbell, they gave it away in the mail with samples of Tide. Like, here's a Famicom. Okay. So, you know, some of those titles might have that sort of appeal to their audience there. Like, hey, it's a tried and true classic, and you know, but great. We don't care about that here. I don't care about your soccer and your tennis for the NES. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's a unique opportunity to kind of go back and revisit some, for lack of a better term, uncelebrated gems. I mean,
fine.
Everybody at this point, you know, we've all played Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3. We've all played Legend of Zelda 1, 2.
You know what? There might be. We have, but I'll be honest.
Throw some other stuff out there.
I agree, but maybe someone hasn't. I don't know who at this point. But then again, Carl, that's not fair to me to say because I'm an old, as are you, and to a younger generation, they might not have played Super Mario Brothers 3, or they might pick it up now and be like, "Well, this is terrible," and then I have to go to their house and choke them. Like Jay and Silent Bob at the end of the movie.
Get some Super Dodgeball in there. Greatest NES game ever made.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to argue too much, actually.
So yeah, that's. I mean, ultimately, $20 for a year. Can we really complain a lot?
I just want to see what else is going to be entailed. Like, do I get some kind of custom content, exclusive demos, something? I would think.
I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. But at the same time, if they said this is it, $20,
sure.
Like,
no, yeah.
Okay, that's for what you're giving me. That's a fair price.
I haven't paid for
now,
an online
if the service itself is crap, which I haven't had any problems with the online service
and
in its current form.
And you're not even paying for it.
Yeah,
so
been playing Splatoon like crazy. You've never had a problem.
Then I would say you should expect it to get even better.
Yeah.
You won't even notice a hiccup, ideally.
Yep.
It also, I like the fact that it follows the account and not the hardware, which is a very big move for Nintendo, believe it or not. So what I mean by that is you could come to my house and load your profile on my Switch, and you would be logged right in to your account. So that's kind of neat. Again, that's like to some of you out there with Xboxes and PS4s, you're like, well, of course you could do that. I could do that. Been doing that for a decade. Yeah, well, this is Nintendo.
Yeah,
they are.
When it comes to the world of online, they
tread very.
They're still
very
about 2
carefully.
generations behind.
And again, to be fair, they have reasons for it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Not
again,
like
I'm not bashing Nintendo in any way about this. This is not what you go to Nintendo for.
No, you have to
trying it out. That's fine.
Yeah, you have to kind of understand their overarching, for lack of a better term, philosophy. Like, they are a family company.
Yeah.
So while Sony and Microsoft might not care about kids per se, they're kind of an afterthought.
Yep.
Nintendo very much cares about kids, so they're not going to do something that is going to potentially get them in trouble with families and make their products portray their products in a bad light when it comes to the kiddies. So yeah, their online is going to be a little restricted, and they're going to dip their toes in the water very carefully because they just have an image to uphold, and that's how they want to do business, and that's fine. You can either accept that, which I learned to do a long time ago, or you can continue to cry about it online, which you'll do anyway. So,
yep. So,
one other Nintendo note that scared the bejesus out of me: we're getting a new president. Do we talk about that a little bit?
Of the United States?
If only, Carl. If only. No, Nintendo is getting a new president.
Oh, right. Yeah, I saw this.
And he's younger. He's in his mid-40s.
Yep. Which is young for a Japan businessman.
I had a feeling that they were going to do that. The Switch clearly put them on good financial footing. They're back in a big, bad way. And the gentleman that was running them in the wake of Iwata's death, the ship is righted. He did his job, and now he's stepping aside soon to make way for the new young hip guy. Now, on paper, hey, cool, yeah, do that.
Yep.
He might have some good ideas on maybe some of this online stuff. He can introduce some cool new features that we've all been clamoring for, and new IP, which we've gotten. Maybe we'll get more of. Maybe we'll get some new, fresh vision on some old properties. Maybe we'll get new properties entirely. Great. These are all good things. Then he came out in this interview, the new guy.
Yeah.
And really took the wind out of a lot of gamer sales.
How so?
Well, he wants to really invest more in mobile gaming. Now,
not mobile gaming like, the Switch being mobile.
No, the Switch is still going to be
the 3DS or
those are still. And to be fair to him, at nowhere in this conversation did he say that those are going to become less important.
Yeah.
No. They are the pillars on which Nintendo is built right now.
Yeah.
But he did say they want more of that sweet, sweet mobile. And that...
it makes business sense. It's an untapped revenue. They've dipped their toes in it, and the 2 times they've dipped their toes in it, they've been extremely successful.
Not really. Super Mario Run did not perform as well as they would have liked. Animal Crossing also underperformed. Fire Emblem is doing pretty well, though. That was actually doing gangbusters last I heard. But they feel like they should have made more on these offerings. So, yeah. Look, the mobile, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of a lot of video game people, gamers, as it were, mobile is garbage, dude. Right. By and large, it's unpredictable garbage. You have no idea what's going to hit and what's not. It's mostly free to play crap. People will balk at a $9.99 price, like Super Mario Run. People will balk at paying $10 for a quality title, even on mobile. A whole game, complete, well made, polished product. People will turn their noses up. $10? No way. Then they'll play some free-to-play crap, and they'll probably dump $60 in microtransactions into it after the fact.
Yep.
Mobile makes no sense. Like, to me, that's like the ultimate... It's Bizarro World, and there is no rhyme or reason as to what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And I feel like a company like Nintendo shouldn't be chasing it because... It's just too unpredictable, and I think it's a bad place to gamble on. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Mobile had a small window in which they could have knocked Nintendo off the throne of king of the handheld gaming. It's like when smartphones first started becoming commonplace in like the early days of the iPhone and things like that, when pretty much all they had was full games that you'd either purchase or people would develop for free to kind of develop a technology or something, and they just throw it out there. But then, like you mentioned, as soon as the microtransactions were introduced, that kind of took away their chance of that.
These games make money.
They do. They make crazy amounts of money.
But again, like I said, they're not the companies that make those games aren't traditional gaming giants.
No.
And I still feel like the ones that are making it, it's pure luck. Like I don't know how they take off. You could have the best laid plans in the world and have the best game possible on your phone.
Yeah, it
might not take off. I don't know why. It's just the marketplace for it is weird. The advertising is weird. The visibility of getting it into the people's faces is weird. Like it's just this strange.
It's
market.
The skeevy bar you don't want your friends to go into.
I guess so. I don't know. Hopefully, it's just talk, and hopefully it's they're just going to continue to kind of dabble in the market. And they're not going to make an all-in push. I don't think they would do that. They have way too much to lose in the console world. But needless to say, that did kind of get some attention this week.
I think, I don't know. I think that they can make quality games for it. But like you said, it's all in what the market, that particular market, is going to welcome. Are they going to welcome, $10 games for their mobile phone? I mean, it all depends on the game. So, and if anyone can break into it, if you were to tell me Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft all announced on the same day, we're investing heavily in mobile games. We're going to have a large mobile presence from this day going forward. The one that I would have confidence in the most of being successful in that would actually be Nintendo.
From a product standpoint, I agree. But from a philosophy standpoint, that's where I get scared, because Nintendo's Nintendo's thought process is not give you something for free and then nickel and dime you.
Yeah.
They don't operate that way.
No.
They're to be very fair to them, this is praise, by the way.
Yeah.
They believe in making a polished, quality product and selling it to you at a reasonable price. But you can rest assured you're getting something of value.
Yeah.
They don't like DLC, for example.
We joke about the Nintendo sale of quality, but not for nothing.
It exists for a reason, DLC, for example.
Yeah.
A lot of companies do DLC.
Mhm.
And what do? Like, they nickel and dime you, or they put out these season passes, and sometimes the value is just not there. You know, and they upset a lot of people. Loot boxes and things like that. Gamers hate these things, but yet they make money. So it's that kind of thing has a bad rap. Nintendo's DLC packages have been stellar. Huge additions to these games. And sometimes they offer things for free. I think Mario Odyssey's gotten like 2 gigantic updates of free stuff.
Splatoon had one big update since I started playing it, and it was totally free.
Yeah.
A couple new boards, some new weapons.
Yeah, and they just roll it out. Here you go. New stuff.
New soundtrack, which was phenomenal.
The Zelda DLC, which was paid for, I did buy it. But there was 2 sets of DLC, and my God, dude, it was incredible. Like, it was tons of content. I'll happily pay for quality, polished content.
Mm-hmm.
So the fear, I think, is that if Nintendo's going to really get into this, they might follow that trend of 99-cent free play, microtransaction driven, and then if they get a taste of that, they might pull a Konami or something and just chase that forever.
I don't see them going that path with it. Konami never had systems to support. Well, before
I'm forecasting. That's all. I'm looking down the road.
Before we leave the Nintendo kingdom with a sour taste in our mouth.
Yeah.
I'm sure you saw this too, but just in case you haven't, I did see the reports of leaked images of Animal Crossing on the Switch.
Oh, I did not see this.
Yes.
Oh, now I'm happy.
Your joy of this game baffles me, but I knew it'd make you happy, so I'd tell you. It's
Animal Crossing
the
is
game.
No, come on, no. Animal Crossing.
I don't have to play work the game. I get up every day and go to work the work.
It's just joyous, man. I get to live with animals, and I get to fish and catch bugs and
I'm
decorate
good.
my house. And
I'm good.
It's a great game.
I can go.
They're tremendous games. They are over. Yeah, but real life has like real people in it, and real people kind of are crappy, and all your interactions in real life tend to be not great. Nintendo gives you Animal Crossing, where all your interactions are pure saccharine joy. It's got so much charm that ultimately that's what makes that game enjoyable. For I mean, yes, is it work? Yeah, kind of. You gotta do chores and stuff, and it sounds boring. When you describe the game to someone, it sounds boring, but playing it is a pure joyous experience because it's just bursting at the seams with charm. It's just got charm exploding out of it, and it makes it fun. It's hard to explain. It just has a certain appeal that works. Love it.
I'm good.
Okay, I will enjoy it. I can't wait. I have to look further into this now that you mentioned it.
Okay, so moving on, the next bit of news we had just broke today, actually. Drew, we've been getting more and more giddy about the prospects of Disney acquiring Fox, mainly for selfish Marvel reasons.
The only reason I care about it.
Well, Star Wars, complete Star Wars.
Yes. The original.
And, maybe we might always get that, Alien vs. Predator vs. DuckTales crossover we've always wanted.
My money's on Gizmo Duck.
Gizmo Duck would be a serious factor in that. I can see Launchpad crashing a helicopter or something on a bunch of alien xenomorphs.
He'll nuke them from orbit.
Yeah.
Only way to be sure.
And that a deal of that size obviously cannot be done overnight. It has to go through massive screening through government oversight and whatnot. But today it came out that a slight wrench might be thrown into that deal. It was reported today that Comcast is...
Your favorite company.
Yeah.
America's favorite company.
Comcast looks to be ponying up the full, I believe the purchase price is $58 billion for Fox to try to kind of torpedo
cash
the Disney deal. Okay, so let's break this down. Disney's the purchase price for Fox is, I believe, is $58 billion. Disney is offering X amount in cash and then a good chunk in stock options.
Yes.
Comcast is offering straight cash.
Straight cash, playa.
Now, Comcast does not have this cash on hand.
No,
they're going around like crazy to creditors to try and get approved for loans for this purchase. We had kind of had a dialogue earlier about this, and I wanted to make sure that things I was saying kind of lined up with reality.
We try to be factual here.
So I contacted Julie, and I actually see a financial advisor.
Okay.
And his name is Paul DePiro, works for Ameritrade.
You call me like, I have some financial questions for you.
No, seriously, I called him up.
How can I help you with your financial future, Carl? No. I want to know about Disney.
I texted Paul. I was like, listen, do you have time for a quick phone call? It's not an emergency. And he's like, yeah, sure, give me a call. So I laid out all for him. I said, I think the Disney deal is better because Disney stock right now, I looked up earlier when we were talking, Comcast stock yesterday closed at $32 a share.
I'm shocked it's that high. The company's so bad.
Disney stock closed at $103 a share.
Okay.
So I laid all that out for him. I'm like, what is the better deal here? He's like, hands down, not giving a second thought, Disney is the better deal. Not only because of the actual purchase deal is better, but because Disney is just a better company. Disney is like one of those things right now, like Apple. Like if you have a chance to get their stock at a lower rate, you buy it because you know it's going to go up at some point. Disney is a multi-revenue stream company in multiple different areas: entertainment, film, television. They're about to launch their streaming service, which is instantly predicted to be a juggernaut. Comcast is a one-trick pony.
Well, they own Universal. I mean, there is that.
Yeah.
That's not nothing, man.
Isn't it, though?
It's a film division, so they've got a film division. They have infrastructure. They've got NBC. So they've got television, film, and the infrastructure.
Disney has television. They
do,
ABC
but Disney
and
doesn't
ESPN.
Disney doesn't have infrastructure.
Disney? What do you... Okay, explain to me how Disney doesn't have infrastructure.
They're not a cable network. Like Comcast owns
the Disney Channel.
That's a channel. Comcast owns the way you get that channel. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what Comcast has that Disney does not. Disney is a content producer and content distributor. Comcast says, yeah, that's some nice content you got there. You can put it on our lines to transfer it over to where you want to put it. And that's what Comcast does. And they do it very poorly, mind you, because their customers hate them.
And right now, Disney's about to be like, okay, we'll do that too. Here's our streaming service.
No.
Disney
it's different.
is, to someone who is much smarter in these areas than both of us, Disney
No,
is still
I'm not
the better
saying that.
deal.
I'm just pointing out Comcast is no slouch here. Infrastructure matters. And Comcast owns a lot of infrastructure.
Comcast is having to go around to creditors to get the money.
That's fine.
Disney's like, what do I got in my back? what do I...
Look, the only reason I'm not blowing this off is because...
What do I got in Daddy's change tray on the nightstand?
No, that's fair. Bob Iger doesn't seem very concerned about it.
No.
He was quoted as basically saying, like, we have an agreement with Fox in principle that they unanimously agreed to, and we're just going to press on. I don't know what Comcast is doing, but whatever.
Yeah.
So fine, but I'm just pointing out because I'm a cynic and I like to prep myself for the worst. Comcast is nothing to slouch at, and things could get monkeyed up. So should that happen, my only hope is that maybe, and we talked about this before. I'm not sure if we talked about it here, but I've been thinking about this a lot. Who's to say that, and I don't know why they can't just make this happen to alleviate pressures and concerns, that Marvel cut some kind of deal that already grants them use of the characters back in their films, like kind of like Sony and
Why
Marvel
doesn't Disney
did.
just buy the assets they need?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
That might be, I mean, okay, I can see, here's a scenario I can see playing out. It's not very likely. I still think the most likely scenario is the Disney purchase goes through.
Yes.
But if for some reason they decide to switch over to Comcast sells the desired assets to Disney to recoup some of the expense of purchasing Fox. I mean, I don't know. Disney ends up buying Fox.
let's hope. Maybe not. Maybe I know there's a lot of people out there that are concerned about like the Aliens and the Predator franchises and things like that. And hey, I get it. And Disney becoming a even bigger monolith. We've all seen the picture of Mickey Mouse right by now with the Thanos gauntlet and all that. And it is a little spooky. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not rooting for this deal to go through because I want some omnipotent company to own more and more of my life. I don't want those things. All I want is the Fantastic Four, Carl. I just want the Fantastic Four in the movies. Let me have that.
Oh, that's funny. All right, I think that's pretty much it for news. Did you have?
One more thing got announced today.
Spoilers: Avengers is still making all the money.
Fastest film to $1 billion in history.
Yep.
It's immortal. I'm comfortable saying that now.
Yeah.
It's made all the money. The memes are everywhere, which is usually a good sign of cultural impact when you have memes galore. Yeah, that's exciting. No, there's something else though that got announced today. Maybe you don't care, but I know I do.
What got announced?
Carl, one of the iconic duos in all of film history is reuniting.
Oh, yeah. It's not that I don't care about this.
Carl.
It's that I've heard it so much in the past.
But now
I'm not going to believe it until I see it.
It's for reals.
Dude.
Bill S. Preston, Esquire, Ted Theodore Logan are getting back together to be Wild Stallions. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure 3 will be coming out. They've officially started pre-production.
Getting together and starting pre-production for the past 15 years.
It's official now.
It's been official for the past 15 years.
It is ink to paper official.
They've had a script for the past 15 years. Until I see a trailer, I'm not going to believe it.
And they call me the cynical one.
You want to compare records on cynicism, sir?
Basically, I think this is actually happening. I know that it's been in various whispers for years, and things have been said, but this is like a big release with the original writers, the director of Galaxy Quest, Alex Winter, Keanu Reeves, all saying, no, seriously, this is happening now.
Okay.
So, yeah, bring it on.
Right.
Can we get a guest appearance by Death?
God, I hope so.
And Station?
Yeah, they better have it all.
All right.
I forgot.
And maybe they'll cross over, maybe they won't. Also announced, kind of, there will be a new Tenacious D movie.
I saw that. I believe that before I believe Bill and Ted 3.
I think Bill and Ted and Tenacious D, the crossover, kind of has to happen. I think we deserve it.
I could see that. That'd be pretty cool.
I think we need that.
I forgot. Kind of from my week, kind of from news. The first 2 episodes of Cobra Kai are available to watch for free on
I've yet
YouTube.
to watch it, but
I have yet to see a bad review.
Everyone that I know said it's excellent.
I watched the first 2 episodes.
And?
Very good.
Okay.
Very good.
Can I sign up for like a free trial of YouTube?
Yeah, you get the first 30 days for free.
Oh.
So you just got to commit to like binging that. It's 10 episodes.
I can house that.
Half-hour episodes each.
I can house that easily.
All right.
Finding time's going to be tough, but I could do it. For Daniel LaRusso, I could make the time.
Such a dick in this.
He's gonna grow. If I had to guess, Carl, I would bet the farm that over the course of the 10 episodes, he will start off kind of maybe a little full of himself, and then he learns a lesson, and then Johnny starts off as a real slimy jerk, and then he learns a lesson, and then in the end, that's my guess of how it's going to go.
They do something very interesting the first 2 episodes. They begin the story, obviously, the story's about Johnny.
Don't spoil it for me.
Beginning the Cobra Kai.
Okay.
I'm not spoiling anything. So you see like the first episode, kind of where Johnny is and whatnot. The second episode is essentially the first episode, but from Daniel's perspective.
Okay.
So it's kind of neat there.
All right.
Looking
forward to it.
It's cool that it's being done and it's getting great reviews and whatnot. So
like when I think you could probably go back. I don't know what episode, but of our podcast here, and I think we talked about the announcement, and we were both like, I don't know about this. I think we both had real weird reservations about it. Then we saw the trailer. We were just like, why does this look really, really good?
Because if Street Fighter Assassin's Fist, which I've referenced numerous times, taught me that if you can get a group of passionate fans with skills, get them together and put a project in front of them, you can achieve great things. And that's definitely what this is, because I mean, these guys aren't just fans. These are professional filmmakers first, who happen to be diehard Karate Kid fans second. So yeah.
I think our reservations were because these guys are traditionally a comedy team that are making this. And I think we thought when it was announced that it was going to be played for laughs, like Johnny's a drunk derelict now, ha ha ha. Then we saw the trailer, like, oh no, they're playing this straight. It looks really cool.
There's a moment in the first episode that I popped off so hard, and it's somewhat show relevant, and I'll let you discover that for yourself.
All right, I'm gonna have to check this out. I got a lot of TV to watch, and I don't have a lot of time to watch it, so something's gonna have to give.
Okay, folks, that just about does it for our news. Moving right along, we are about to embark on a new Netflix chapter, per se. We are going to do Jessica Jones Season 2, and that's going to start next week. For this week, we thought we might do a recap of the first season of Jessica Jones. Now, scheduling, unfortunately, did not allow us to fit in Jessica Jones in our season recaps. We decided, because the show is The Devil's Due, and Daredevil Season 2 had been out, it was more important that we go over Daredevil Season 2 than we do Jessica Jones Season 1. That by that time Luke Cage had come around, and I just didn't want to get too far behind. And we're a little far behind now, and are going to be far behind for a little while, not a long time, because Luke Cage Season 2 isn't really following the typical release window of November, March for these series, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, next week we're starting Jessica Jones Season 2. This week we're going to kind of discuss and recap Jessica Jones Season 1. So to start that conversation, Drew, let me ask you, what was your kind of knowledge and experience with the character Jessica Jones before the series?
I read the first 2 volumes of Alias. No, not the Jennifer Garner TV show.
That's why I never read it, because I'm like, I don't want to watch a TV show. Why do I want to read the comic book?
It actually predates the TV show. Go figure. But written by Brian Michael Bendis, a name you might know, and drawn, I should say, by
DC's Brian Michael Bendis.
Yeah, right. The DC writer? Yeah, yes, him. Because he wasn't at Marvel for 19 years. Anyway, and drawn by Michael Gaydos. It was a staple. It was one of the big early hits and staples of the Marvel Max mature readers line, which also had most notably the Punisher Garth Ennis run. So these were stories that were more adult oriented, profanity, adult
sex.
content, sex and whatnot. The Punisher, Garth Ennis took, he kind of took the Punisher outside of the Marvel Universe and gave it a whole fresh start. Alias, though, very much in the Marvel Universe.
Oh,
at least in one that we recognize.
Yes.
Although from a very different perspective, and I'm not going to say continuity really... Let's just say continuity didn't work in both directions. So, like, what was happening in the regular Marvel Universe didn't necessarily reflect in Alias, and what happens in Alias certainly wasn't going to be reflected in the Marvel Universe per se, given depending on what happened. But it does exist in a Marvel Universe. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So we're at the first 2 volumes of Alias, which is the story of Jessica Jones, and she is a let's see. Hard-drinking, hard-living, former superhero, now private investigator. And in those first 2 volumes, there's some pretty pretty wild stuff, some of which ends up in the show, albeit in slightly watered down format. But the overall themes and the overall arcs, at least in terms of the major story arc with the Purple Man, ends up in the show. This is basically where Luke Cage's renaissance occurred, by the way. Luke Cage was a nothing character from like basically, I mean, you could argue the 80s onward.
Say about mid-80s.
Okay. Yeah. There was a couple attempted revivals in the 90s. There was a Marvel Knights attempt, I think, as well. Maybe was it Max? I don't remember. There was an attempted revival in the early 2000s that didn't really go so well. So
I think because they just couldn't decide on a name for him.
Well, they had Power Man floated around for a little while. They did call him Cage for a little while, too. I remember in the 90s there was a Cage revival, but it just never really took, right?
Yeah.
Bendis has always loved Luke Cage. So he put Luke Cage in Alias, and we've entered a new renaissance of Luke Cage.
Yep.
Luke Cage rose to prominence in Alias alongside Jessica Jones. And then when Bendis got basically called up from, we'll call it a call-up. When they called him off the bench, the Marvel Knights Max squad, and put him on the main roster, as it were, to write the Avengers, first thing he did was put Luke Cage on the new Avengers. So Luke Cage's presence and profile got raised very, very prominently under Bendis's pen. Alias was the series that also hooked up Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, and they have a child together in the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and are married.
Yeah, correct. Now, they're not without their problems like any couple, but married with a kid.
Yep.
So this was all born out of Alias. So that's kind of my background to Jessica Jones before the show was announced.
My background with the character goes back to her inception and then kind of just fades out until New Avengers era.
Okay,
because the character originally started out, she went to high school with one young Peter Parker.
Did she now?
So she's like from back in the 60s and whatnot. And this was just kind of a throwaway character that someone picked up one day and did something with.
Was that a retcon? Because I'm pretty sure Bendis created her out of whole cloth.
No. She's not an original creation.
Are you sure about that?
About 80% sure.
I'm gonna go and look up your 20% here because I don't think that's correct. If they've retconned it, that's the case, maybe, but.
So, and then my next encounter with her was during that New Avengers era where on the team was also Spider-Man, and they were all kind of living in Avengers Tower, one big happy family and whatnot. So a lot of the interactions I had the character were through the Spider-Man titles, and the character didn't have the edge that we know her to have in those titles. She seemed to be more content, happily married, a little gruff here and there, but definitely not the way she's currently portrayed now.
Yeah, sorry, man. Jessica Jones debuted in Marvel Max, Alias #1, November 2001.
The internet lies. It's all lies.
Yeah, no. She was created by Bendis and Gaydos.
It's all lies.
Specifically for Alias #1. So, anyway.
I must be thinking of a different character then.
Yeah.
But it is canon that she went to...
She did go to high school with Peter Parker, yes.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us to fast forward to the announcement that Netflix is going to be doing these Marvel shows. They announced Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones.
In fairness, they announced Daredevil before any of them.
Well, yeah.
And then Daredevil was a hit, and they said, okay, we need more.
No. They announced, the original announcement was all 4 shows. They said Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones.
Okay.
And everyone was going off on Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Jessica Jones was kind of the dark horse of the group. And people weren't quite sure, first off, you have a character that even Marvel fans don't really have a lot of knowledge or experience with because she doesn't really show up in the big event things.
She's not a superhero.
Yeah.
So, she's a former superhero, but like, yeah, she's a, how do I explain? She's a supporting character in New Avengers. She's not a new Avenger.
Yeah, she's not. She's home taking care of the kid.
Right.
But they make it clear that that's her choice to do that.
Right. She wants nothing to do with tights and heroics and all that.
Yeah,
that's not her. That's just not her game.
As far as like superheroes and whatnot go, she's kind of on the low end of the power set. She's
no slouch.
She's not a slouch, but like
super strength. I think she's pretty invulnerable too. So, and she can fly. So she's not,
Yeah.
She's more powerful than Hawkeye. Okay.
Okay, so she's more powerful than a guy with no powers whatsoever.
Just saying. He still has a job with the Avengers.
So they make the announcement, and that's the one kind of sticks out to everyone. Daredevil season 1 hits, and everyone loves it. It's great. And then they announce that the next one will be Jessica Jones, which kind of took a lot of people's surprise because a lot of people thought they were going to follow up with more notable, either Luke Cage or Iron Fist. And so Jessica Jones season 1 hit, which kind of brings us to where we are now in recapping the first season. What we've commented on a lot about the Marvel Netflix shows, and one thing that I really enjoy that they do is each one has its own very distinct visual identity. And Jessica Jones kind of carried on that tradition. Like there was a very, obviously, because the Purple Man was the villain, there was kind of the intro, the color palette was incorporated purple a lot. A lot of things kind of had like either a hue or a shade of that. But yeah, the show hit big. It looked great. And I really enjoyed the first season. What were kind of your takes on it?
Overall, I liked it. But I think I've said this on the show before. I just felt it went too long. But that's actually honestly a critique I could probably level at most of these Netflix shows.
Yeah.
But overall, I enjoyed the tone. Although, like most of the other Marvel shows, we seem to understand now what the limitations of these shows are. So, and it's a weird line. So, like, the Punisher blowing a guy's face off is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But we can't say the F word, and we can't, for lack of a better,
can't show nudity.
To be couth. You can show some.
You can show butt.
Yeah. Can't show the boobies.
Anything else.
Just putting it out there. So that we have these arbitrary lines that have been drawn. I don't know. They're probably contractual, which I want to see how someone got paid to write this up. Anyway.
Lawyers, man.
So which led to an interesting, I don't want to get too heavily into this because this is a family-friendly show. So let's just say that there is a sequence in the first volume of Alias with Jessica and Luke, and it's very famous. It is, you may have seen these panels on the internet somewhere before.
Yeah.
And there is a context to all of it, and with her running monologue written with it, right?
Yeah.
And in that context, it all, makes a sense. And it's like, okay, fine. They kind of do it in the show with no dialogue and no cues whatsoever, but they just do it to do it. And so, like, they can say that they put the nod in, and it's kind of like, okay, see what you did there, but you didn't. But then you kind of go like, all right, they're not drawing too much attention to it, so I'm not going to either, I guess. But it's, again, these weird, like, I don't know, the lines are so strange. And it's out of all the shows that they've done, honestly, this was the one that I thought would lend itself maybe better than any of them to TV, because it is more of a gritty noir street show as opposed to Daredevil with, Daredevil is too, but there's powers involved, there's colorful villains at times, supernatural stuff at times, etc. Iron Fist, same thing, like, he's got in Luke Cage as well. So just Jessica Jones being like willingly saying, I'm not part of the hero contingent, I do street stuff and I'm an investigator and a detective and whatnot. I thought that might lend itself better to a television show. And in a lot of ways it does. But I just felt like the pace was not up to snuff. They could have quickened things up quite a bit. But having said that, probably the second best villain on the Netflix Marvel U.
Second to
Kingpin.
That's
Purple Man's pretty good.
I'm thinking we're talking 1A, and depend on the argument you make, they can either one of them can occupy that.
Okay, no, but that's the tier we're talking about.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So Purple Man's fantastic.
Yeah, David Tennant's performance is just. I mean, I love seeing Doctor Who fans, of which I am not necessarily, to each their own, but Doctor Who's just never really done it for me.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Full disclosure.
Like Doctor Who fans just freaking out, like one of their most cherished doctors being like this psychopathic mind rapist.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what the first season is. It's a story of rape recovery.
Yep. It's all about PTSD and recovering from traumatic events. My only gripe is that he didn't actually have purple skin, but that might have been a bridge.
Yeah.
That might have been a bridge too far for Marvel Television.
It's
because then you got to explain it.
Yeah, in the world that they built, it's tough to pull off.
Yeah, and I'm
explain.
I'm okay.
There
with
was
it.
a nod to it in the one episode where his father like gave him the injection and like amped up his powers more, and like there was like a purple like flesh tone that
briefly
rippled through his skin briefly.
Yeah,
I think they could have done it. I think because you have like an explanation for it there, but I'm fine either way.
No, I'm fine with it. It worked out just fine. The character's honestly still very memorable without the gimmick. So
yeah,
whatever.
And they have this character, this villain character, who they do an excellent job of at one point making you sympathetic for him.
Somewhat.
Not for a long time, mind you, but kind of, here's where you can kind of see the groundwork of Killmonger and Thanos being laid. A villain where you can not 100%, but kind of briefly understand their point of view.
Well, I'd say, to be honest, I think Marvel TV, actually, Netflix specifically, all the villains go through that. Really? Kingpin had the episode where they show his childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, that was incredible. What an episode. The Cottonmouth episode with Luke Cage, man.
Best episode of the season.
I love that. You're right. It is. Absolutely. That's the best episode that there is in that show. And then they kill him at the end. Oh, spoilers. But that episode is fantastic. Yeah. It really gives his character so much grounding, and it sells you on him. And then then there's Iron Fist, but whatever. And then Punisher. Billy, we get some of his background, and he's not maybe not as effective as these other examples, but he has a backstory that is somewhat tragic and relatable.
Mm-hmm.
So these Netflix shows really do a good job of fleshing these guys out. And making you somewhat sympathetic. It at least provides them a motivation that you believe.
I've noticed in all the Netflix shows there is definitely a family dynamic.
Yeah.
With Daredevil, the family is Matt, Foggy, and Karen. Luke Cage, the family is Luke, Pops, Claire, and Misty.
Right.
Misty more towards the end. Iron Fist, it's Danny. What's their names?
Colleen
and the kid.
Oh, the Jerk family.
Yeah, the daughter.
Yeah,
of the
whatever
Jerk
their
family.
name is.
Yeah.
I've blocked out Iron Fist so much. I don't care.
Jessica has this as well.
Yeah.
And she, in both a literal sense and a figurative sense. In the literal sense, she is adopted by the nightmare of Showtime moms.
Yeah, yeah.
But she has a very real relationship with her sister,
Patsy Walker.
Patsy
Hellcat.
Walker.
I want a Hellcat.
Hellcat.
Hellcat's got to show up at some point. Carl cringes.
Not saying anything. You haven't seen season 2 yet.
She was going to get in some fisticuffs in season 1. She starts taking the home defense classes and all that stuff.
Yep.
All right, here's a yellow leotard. Let's roll.
Yellow leotard, cat mask, go.
Yes.
But also, that's like kind of literal family. And Jessica is, according to the storyline, she was part of a traditional family. Family got in a car accident, all the other members killed, and somehow she came out of it with superpowers.
Right.
She doesn't know quite how it happened. But she also has kind of an adopted, I don't want to say brother because that dynamic's not there, but an adopted family member, Malcolm, who definitely took a journey in season 1. He started out as kind of like Kilgrave's lackey, and by the end, he was kind of able to free himself from that, and obviously with Jessica's help.
There's a colorful cast of characters in their apartment. Actually, it's I mean, in a weird comparison, it's kind of like the people in the apartment from Welcome Back, Frank, the Punisher story. Like, not the same kind of people, but in that, like, she lives in this building.
Punisher.
Well, that's from Welcome Back, Frank. So yeah,
Okay.
That kind of like quirky neighbor dynamic. So anyway, and then she has sort of a I don't call it familial, but what's like her relationship with Hogarth, the lawyer, and all that, and that plays into a lot of stuff in this series. Actually,
Hogarth was kind of the surprise character of the season for me.
Yeah,
because this is a character who I just found really interesting and portrayed fantastically by Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah,
not typically. We see kind of the other side of the coin as far as lawyers go. We've seen like the do-gooding lawyers and Matt and Foggy and Karen, but now we see like the more corporate.
She's a little more cutthroat.
Yeah, very cutthroat.
Yeah.
She takes a real interesting journey in season 2. But she was a surprise for me on the show. The entire cast was just real solid.
Real solid. I'm going to throw a flag, though, to the guy who played Simpson, as we know him as Nuke.
Yes.
I didn't think he was very good at all. And I don't just mean like he doesn't look like his character, because he doesn't look like his character, which I thought was problematic.
Well, they didn't paint the flag on his face.
He also doesn't quite have the build for Nuke. Let's going to put that out there.
Nuke is. I think he was fine for Nuke. Nuke is not a character you get a Shakespearean performance out of.
But he's not full on Nuke in this. Like this is. They actually want him to be a real person. So like can you give me a real person actor? I feel like again Wayne Campbell. Like I know it's a small part, but this is the best we can do. We get someone better than this. I want Charlton Heston, is what I'm saying.
Well, Drew, you're going to run into a slight problem there. The corpse of Charlton Heston is not available for work currently.
Fair enough. No, I just thought he was a little. This actor was not quite the best. His performance kind of sucked me out of the show a little bit.
I think he played the part as it was written pretty well. He's kind of the dopey macho.
Dopey's a good word. He looks dopey.
Well, I mean, that's kind of
the way he's got a dopey face. I think that bothers me.
Your face, sir, bothers me.
I can't explain it. It just does.
I'm not saying you're ugly, but your face
I didn't call him ugly.
But your face might make orphans want to punch themselves.
I'm just saying he looks kind of dopey.
Okay. But he played the part well because the character is not. He's meant to be that macho alpha male.
Yeah,
type.
But that's not dopey.
A lot of times it is.
Like, all right, fair enough. All right. I'm just saying that out of everyone that was in the show,
he was the weak link.
He was the weak link, in my opinion.
So I mean, granted, all the shows kind of have a slowdown and a pick back up as far as their pacing goes. I didn't mind it as much in Jessica because after the first couple episodes, I realized that you kind of have to approach this, as well with season 2, you have to approach it like a detective story, not a superhero story. So in that, there is a slower pace to it, a more I shouldn't say slower, I should say more methodical pace to it.
And that's a fair defense, but I felt like at a certain point, maybe I'm going back a little ways now. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I hit like episodes 7, 8. There was just a good stretch there where it's like, just go kill him. Like,
Yeah.
you've spent several episodes like doing nothing. Just go kill him.
Yeah, we both universally agree that the Netflix seasons on these shows could be minimum 3 episodes shorter.
Yeah, that's
If
all.
not
That's
more.
all I'm talking about for pacing. Like there was no other like real narrative happening. Like there was no like B story in those episodes. It was literally just like, okay, go. Like, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
You're just go take care of the business now. And finally they do, and it's great. You know that the finale is well done and everything. But it's like that the pacing irked me a lot. In Jessica Jones season 1, more than the other shows, to be honest with you. Luke Cage a close second, but just at least Luke Cage had the excuse where they swapped the villains, and we kind of had to reboot
It was
a little
kinda
bit.
like an act 1, act 2.
Jessica Jones doesn't have that excuse. It's just kind of like, all right, well, you've made your decision.
Well,
what
you've
you
still
want
got
to do,
like an A villain and a B villain.
kind of,
You've got
but
Kilgrave and Nuke. I
Yeah.
hear the name Nuke, and I keep thinking of the drug in RoboCop 2. I can't not think of that.
no, that's good. That's good. That's a valid callback.
Did you?
It comes in a cassette case because 1980s.
Because did you get your free comic book day comics?
Not yet.
Okay.
I will pick them up probably tomorrow. I haven't been to the shop in weeks.
All right, because
I'm busy, man.
I know. Don't worry, someday you won't be as busy. That day's not in the foreseeable future, but
Yeah, that's
Sunday.
Maybe when I'm retired, maybe.
So this show, I think we'll kind of end on this. This show was a big first step in the direction of female protagonist. Because like before, we had Black Widow at this point, but she was always a B character in the films. And,
Sure.
You know, we didn't have Wonder Woman yet. We obviously don't have Captain Marvel yet. This is kind of the first female character that stepped up in this modern comic and live action medium renaissance we're currently going through, and really hit a chord.
Yeah, you're right. Actually,
In a
I
good
never really
way.
thought about it. Yeah, I guess you're right. She predates Wonder Woman coming out, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, by
So-
a lot.
Yeah, Jessica Jones really was. I'm trying to think of another example. I mean, Wonder Woman had a TV series in the 70s, obviously. So
I'm talking about like 2008 forward.
Sure. I mean, Elektra was garbage. The movie, I mean, the Catwoman movie. We don't want to talk about that.
No.
So yeah, I guess Jessica Jones being a big success is a kind of a landmark, and the fact that it dealt with what it dealt with rape and trauma and whatnot. Dare I say, I don't mean this to sound insensitive, but like it's a timely subject, or at least it's a subject that we're finally comfortable talking about, and it was the right show at the right time to address that in a fairly mature way. It certainly doesn't undermine the subject matter. Like, she deals with it, and she's a powerful character, and she certainly doesn't want to play the victim, and she's I don't know. Like, yeah, it did a lot of things right, and it kind of said, hey, there is room for a female hero, as it were, or a female-driven hero with this stuff. People will watch it. People do care about it.
Yeah.
And there are compelling stories you can tell. It doesn't have to just be, guys running around.
Yep.
And she can carry a show. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They can probably carry a movie, too. So now we're getting more of that. So,
and
yeah.
she definitely carried this show, and she was really good in Defenders.
Yeah.
Which also predates season 2 of Jessica Jones. We should probably, actually, now I think about it, we should probably touch on Defenders really briefly. Everything like that worked for her in season 1 kind of worked for her really well in Defenders, and they just kind of trimmed some of the fat off it.
Yeah, I'd say so. They know what works for her. They know her strengths, and they play to them in Defenders. they kind of get down to brass tacks, as it were, and she's the fast-talking, no time for hero stuff kind of character, no nonsense. She keeps the boys on their other toes, more or less. She keeps things from getting too ridiculous.
Yeah.
She has no time for this.
No.
There's drinking to be done.
There's drinking to be done. There's much drinking to be done. All right, Drew, I think that about does it for our season 1 recap of Jessica Jones. Unless you have anything else you want to add?
No, we said it all. So let's, I guess next week we'll dive into season 2.
Yep. Episode 1 of season 2 starting up next week. And that about does it here for us at The Devil's Due. As always, we thank you for joining us. We appreciate you downloading and listening to us. Please share new episode announcements. It's all we're asking you to do, folks.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends. You see us tweet about a new episode, just hit that. A lot of you out there hitting likes, and we appreciate that, and we like the likes, but just move your finger just like that quarter of an inch to the left or right to hit that retweet button. You know, same thing goes on Facebook. When we have a new episode, please share that.
Infinity War made $1 billion in a week. There's a lot of you out there.
Yeah.
So instead of worrying about how they're going to bring back Spider-Man, instead of talking about that, just tell your friends to listen to us, and we'll tell you how it's going to happen.
Yep.
Spoilers.
All right, folks, if you want to find us on Twitter, you can do so at Devil's Due Pod. You can go to facebook.com/Devil's Due Pod. You can email us at thedevilsdupod@gmail.com, or you can find all these resources available to you on our website, thedevilsdupodcast.com. Drew, any closing thoughts?
I'm glad I got to go see the nation's capital.
Now it's time for you to go home to Greenbow, Alabama.
No, I'm not going down there.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us again. Court's adjourned.